The movie begins by introducing a big-time drug lord. This guy's got it all. He's living the high life, always surrounded by his crew even when he's at home. One day he's chilling by the pool, soaking in the sun, when he spots something shiny at the bottom. At first, he thinks it's his fancy watch. He dives down to grab it, but just as he reaches for it, suddenly someone ambushes him. The hitman turns out to be Arthur Bishop. He's smooth, quick, and gets the job done without anyone even knowing what hit him. In no time, the drug lord's out of the picture, and Arthur slips away like a ghost. Fast forward, and we find Arthur back at his secluded, one-of-a-kind home, which is only accessible by boat. This guy likes his privacy, but Arthur is not just your average assassin. He's a pro who doesn't just kill. He makes it look like a freak accident. Take the guy he just took care of, for example. The papers are all over it, claiming it was a tragic drowning caused by cramps. Clean, simple, and no one's any wiser. The next day, Bishop heads to a cafe to meet Harry McKenna, an old-timer and one of the top dogs in their organization. They've known each other for years, so the conversation is laid back, just a couple of guys chatting about life. But when Harry starts talking about his son, Steve, it's clear there's a lot of disappointment there. Harry's high rank doesn't stop him from feeling let down by his own flesh and blood. After cashing in on his latest job, Bishop decides to blow off some steam with a woman in town. The catch is that she has no clue who Bishop really is. She's simply enjoying the company, and so is he. The next morning, Bishop does what he always does, which is checks his secret website for his next assignment. But this time, things take a twist. His next target is Harry McKenna, the guy he just had a drink with the day before. So Bishop picks up the phone and calls the company. A meeting's set up, and before long, Dean, one of the company's top officials, is flying in on a private jet. Dean's got a bone to pick with Harry. Apparently, Harry leaked some sensitive info about a mission in Chapton, an operation that got 5 of their best hitmen killed. Not only that, but there's billions sitting in Harry's account, and it's looking like he's been selling secrets about Chapton. Since Bishop and Harry are tight, Dean makes it clear, either Bishop handles it or he'll hire someone else to do the dirty work. Back at his place, Bishop's mind's all over the place. He doesn't want to pull the trigger on his old mentor, but he can't shake the feeling that something's off. After a while, he picks up the phone and calls Harry, who's still at the office. He tells Harry to get out fast. Dean and his crew are coming for him. Harry listens, follows Bishop's directions to the letter, and makes it to the basement without anyone catching on. That's when Bishop shows up, waiting by his busted-up van. Harry spots him, and the realization hits. He's the target. The hit's going down tonight, and it's probably going to look like a robbery gone wrong on the news tomorrow. In a final twist, Harry pulls a gun from his jacket and shoots a few rounds into his own car. "I'd rather go out at the hands of my former student than anyone else," he says, tossing Bishop a weapon for the kill. It's the kind of farewell that'll haunt Bishop for a long time. The day of Harry's funeral, Bishop runs into Harry's son, Steve. Steve doesn't seem too shaken by his father's death. Bishop offers him a ride, but it's clear Steve's got bigger problems. His dad left him nothing, no money, no assets, and now the bank's about to take his house. But Steve's not giving up. He's got a plan to get even with the people he thinks are responsible for his dad's death. Car thieves. That night, he tracks one of them down, almost killing him in cold blood. That's when Bishop steps in, stopping Steve before he makes a deadly mistake. He saves him from a murder charge. But it's clear that Steve's got a dark path ahead. A few days later, after finishing some shopping, Bishop is surprised when Steve shows up at his door. Steve asks Bishop to train him. "Repay the favor to Harry," he says. And Bishop knows what he means. Teach him how to be a hitman. But Bishop's not convinced. He turns the offer down. Not yet, at least. That night, Bishop can't shake the feeling that he's left something undone. He picks up the phone and calls Steve. The next morning, they meet at an animal sanctuary surrounded by dogs. Bishop is ready to share what he knows, and this is where it all begins. He gives Steve some serious advice to know your target inside and out. Then Bishop gives him a dog with the condition that Steve has to meet him at the cafe every morning at 7 a.m. for a month. That's where the real training starts. Weapons, tactics, assassination strategies. He even hands Steve an insurance company's guidebook, filled with ways to make a death look like an accident. With his house gone, Steve moves in with Bishop. The training gets intense, but Steve's hungry for more. After a few weeks, Bishop invites him to witness his first real mission. They meet a stranger at the usual spot. Bishop hands him some money, gives him a list of things to buy, and then Bishop attacks, taking down the stranger in a flash. Steve's eyes widen. This is the real deal. He's in the world of hitmen now. Back home, Bishop drops a bombshell. The next target is a big-time global weapons supplier. But Bishop's already handled that. Now it's Steve's turn. For the past month, Steve's been tailing a guy named Burke, a ruthless hitman with a strange taste for young men and Chihuahua dogs. Burke's routine: hang out at a cafe, pick up a guy, get a drink. Steve's mission is to slip some drugs in Burke's drink and take him out, just like Bishop taught him. But Steve, eager to prove himself, decides to take matters into his own hands. That night, Steve tried to strangle Burke while he was asleep, but what started as a quiet kill quickly spiraled into a brutal, all-out brawl. Steve managed to finish the job, but he didn't walk away unscathed. Bruised and bloodied, he got a box of meds from Bishop to patch up the mess he'd made of himself. A few days later, Bishop hit up the airport to pick up payment for their last job and to grab a new phone that Dean had set up. Dean wasn't too happy with how things went down. Apparently, Bishop had sent Steve instead of doing it himself, which Dean didn't appreciate. But there was good news. A new contract came with a bigger payout, and this time the target was a big deal. A religious leader named Andrew, who had built an empire off fundraising and TV shows. Steve was getting the bomb, and Bishop was back in the planning room, ready to help take down the guy. The plan is to inject Andrew with adrenaline to mess with his meds and then take him out. They didn't waste any time. Andrew was holed up in a fancy 5-star hotel, so they made their way over, ready to move fast. Bishop knew the hotel's layout and decided to sneak through the ventilation system to get close to their target's room. Everything seemed to be falling into place as they were just a few steps away from the man who thought he was untouchable. But then the doctor botched the plan. The drug wasn't working, so they had to go with Plan B. After a quick, tense pause, they moved in and used a device to block Andrew's air supply. But just as they thought they had him, disaster struck. A bolt fell and clanged to the floor, giving away their position. Guards rushed in, and just like that, a full-on chase was on. But luck was on their side this time. They slipped away once again, mission still intact. With Andrew out of the picture, Bishop went to the airport to pick up the cash. But then something caught his eye. One of the company's hitmen, a guy who was supposed to have died during a job in Chapton, was standing there, alive and well. Bishop didn't waste a second. He followed the guy onto a bus, not letting him get away. "What really happened in Chapton?" he asked, ready for answers. The hitman didn't hold back. He dropped the bombshell that Dean had paid him a hefty sum to take out 4 other agents during a mission in Chapton. And once that job was done, he was told to vanish without a trace. Hearing this, Bishop was hit hard. It was all a setup. The organization had been pulling his strings this whole time. Furious, he stormed back home, but things didn't go as planned. At the dock, where he usually hopped onto his speedboat, trouble was waiting. 2 cars full of hitmen pulled up, guns drawn, ready to take him out. Bishop didn't panic. He called up Dean, cutting straight to the point. "Don't bother sending anyone," he said coldly. "I'm coming for you." Back at the house, Steve, who was keeping an eye on things, found himself surrounded by enemies. Bishop, knowing his team was in trouble, called the house, whispering about a weapon hidden in a chair. That triggered a full-on shootout. As Bishop grabbed the address of one of Dean's bodyguards, Steve rummaged through the garage. That's when he found it, a weapon that once belonged to his father. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. Bishop had been the one to take his father out. The weight of it was crushing, but Steve didn't show it. Instead, he tried to keep it cool, questioning Bishop as they headed for the target. They got in, took down the bodyguard, and grabbed his wife and kid as leverage. At first, he refused to talk, but when Bishop threatened the daughter, he cracked. He gave up Dean's location. Bishop dialed Dean, asking about the payment for Harry's assassination, which is $50 million. Dean didn't miss a beat. He offered Bishop $10 million to walk away from his revenge plans. But Bishop wasn't interested. "I'm not done yet." Dean, now on edge, figured out something wasn't right. The call was coming from a floor above. Bishop was in the building. Dean's crew quickly jumped into their cars, ready to bail. So everything that happened was part of Bishop's plan. During the chaos of their journey, one of Dean's cars got hit, and his entire guard was wiped out. Bishop jumped into a parked garbage truck, totally blending in. Meanwhile, Steve hijacked a bus to take down Dean's bodyguard car. With all of Dean's men out of the picture, it was game over for him. They didn't hold back. Dean was executed without mercy, and their revenge mission was complete. On the way back, Bishop casually invited Steve to join him. They started bonding, chatting about random stuff. But then Steve found his father's old gun in the back seat, and that's when Bishop's eyes narrowed. He knew exactly what was going on. Later, they pulled over at a gas station. Bishop, ever the mysterious guy, asked Steve if he had any last words before heading into the store. After that, Steve, being a total car nut, drove off to grab Bishop's prized antique car. But just when he thought he was in the clear, he spotted something strange. A small piece of paper on the passenger seat, and the car exploded. Steve was stunned, watching the gas station security footage later, only to realize Bishop had pulled off the perfect escape. He'd faked his own death. From the very start, Bishop had known Steve would steal the car and had set up the bomb. Classic Bishop, always one step ahead. So the moral of the story is, trust no one, especially when they hand you a car with a bomb in it.